20, verses 1 through 16. Hear now the reading of God's holy word. For the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for his vineyard. After agreeing with the laborers for the usual daily wage, he sent them into his vineyard. When he went out about 9 o'clock, he saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and he said to them, "You also go into the vineyard, and I will pay you whatever is right." So they went. When he went out again about noon and about 3 o'clock, he did the same thing. About 5 o'clock, he went out and found others standing around, and he said to them, "Why are you standing here idle all day?" And they said to him, "Because no one's hired us." And he said to them, "You also go into the vineyard." When evening came, the owner of the vineyard said to his manager, "Call the laborers and give them their pay, beginning with the last and then going to the first." When those hired about 5 o'clock came, each of them received the usual daily wage. Now when the first came, they thought they would receive more, but each of them also received the usual daily wage. When they received it, they grumbled against the landowner, saying, "These last worked only 1 hour, and you made them equal to us who have borne the burden of the day and the scorching heat." But he replied to one of them, "Friend, I am doing you no wrong. Did you not agree with me for the usual daily wage? Take what belongs to you and go. I choose to give to this last the same as I give to you. Am I not allowed to do what I want, to do what I choose with what belongs to me? Or are you envious because I am generous? So the last will be first, and the first will be last." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who has a vineyard. Sounds pretty all right to me, right? Sounds pretty all right to me. You see, at the beginning of the day, the people in this time would gather in the marketplace. Those who didn't already have jobs, those who didn't already have a place to go and to help support their families, they would all gather in the marketplace, and the laborers from all around would come and they would hire people to go work in their fields and in their vineyards. And so, as happens every day, there was a great gathering of people who needed work in the marketplace, and this landowner hires a group of people to go work in his vineyard and agrees to pay them the usual daily wage, whatever it was, it's $8.15 an hour or something like that, And so they said, yeah, great, because they're happy that they were hired and they were going to be able to support their families and bring home money so that they can purchase food and to purchase the daily necessities that they need. Well, the same landowner goes again about noon and about 3 o'clock, and he finds some more people in the marketplace just standing around, and he's like, "You know what, you're hired, go out and work, and I'll give you what's fair, what's right." And then he goes out again one more time at 5 o'clock, and he says, "All right, why are you guys still standing here? Did you not hear me? I said, we can work today. You can work today. Get out of my field, get out in the vineyards, and I'll pay you what's fair and what's right." And they did this, and at the end of the day, like any good landowner would do, he says, "Manager, you call everybody together and give them their pay for the day." He says, "Start with the ones who showed up last first, and then get to the first ones who were here and pay them last." The manager was like, "Okay, you're the boss, I'll do that." But what surprised everyone is that when the last people who worked, who only were there an hour, received their pay for the day, the landowner paid them for a whole day's work. And then the people who arrived there at 3 o'clock, they were paid for a whole day's work. And then the people who arrived there at noon got paid for a whole day's work. Now, many of us have owned our own businesses, have been a part of a business, and there's no way in any business owner's mind that they would pay someone for 8 hours of work if they were only there for an hour. Right? There's no way. You would have to be extremely generous and not wanting to make a profit for yourself. Right? That's exactly how that would work. But this is not what this landowner did. He paid everyone for the same amount of work they did. The same amount of work. Even though some were only there for an hour, and some were there all day, from sunup to sundown, in the scorching heat. Now, if I was one of the first persons to start working in the vineyard, as I was going up the line, I would say, oh my gosh, he paid them guys who've been here an hour for a whole day's work. I can't wait till I get my check. This is going to be awesome. Because he's going to be super generous to me because I've been working the longest and the hardest out of everyone. And then when he hands me my check and it's the same as everyone else, I tell you what, I'd be pretty tempted to grumble too. Wouldn't you? I would be. I'd be like, excuse me. Just like they were. I worked my fingers to the bone today for you. And this is what I get? The same as the people who've only been here for an hour? But do we have that right? Do we have the right to question the person who hired us to support our families? No, we don't. Here's the thing, guys. When the landowner, it says the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who owns a vineyard and goes out to hire laborers to do his work. Not sure if you've ever put this together before, but that landowner is God. That landowner is God. And he chooses us, he hires us to do his work. And he asks us to do his work. Some of us choose to start doing his work at a very early age. Some of us start to choose to do his work when we're teenagers. Some of us start choosing to do his work when we're 20 years old. Some of us start choosing to do his work when we're 40. Some of us start choosing to do his work when we're 85. It doesn't matter. When we choose to say, okay, I will work in the vineyard of God. I will work for him. We are all going to receive the same payment. And what is better than eternal life with him? What is better than that? Nothing. There's nothing better than that. Amanda and I started a ministry a few years ago. And when we would talk to people about what we did and things like that, they would say, wow, how much do you get paid for that? Because it sounded like a lot of work. And this was before we did get paid for it. And we said, well, we don't get paid yet. We get our payment later. See, we understand that our payment comes later for some of the things that we do for God. We don't need payment right now. We don't need immediate gratification right now. We know that our payment will come when we leave this earth. You ever thought about when you do something good for someone, that even if they don't express a thanks, or even if they don't express how much it meant to them, that you know your payment is waiting for you in heaven? It's a pretty awesome, life-changing thing to start thinking about. That every good thing we do in the honor of God, we get paid for later. And we will get full pay for those things. Full pay for those things. Are you envious because I'm generous? God is generous with everything that he has. Have you taken a moment to look around you? Have you taken a moment to step outside and look around? Have we forgotten that he created all of this for us? For us? What a huge responsibility. How much does he love us? How much does he trust us to take care of these things for him? How much does he love us to choose us to do his work? Sure, he could come down and just make sure everyone was a Christian. He could do that. He has that power. But he chooses to love us and to give us the free will to make that choice, whether it's when we're 5 or whether it's when we're 85. He gives us that choice. And he is such a generous God that he gives us so many blessings that we'll never be able to count. greatest things that I receive from ministry, and I feel like I do get payment every once in a while I'm on earth for ministry, is when I get to see a young child that we had in a children's group or a youth group grow up to be an adult. And I get to see them following God. And I get to see them doing His work and the ministry that God has given them with others. That is one of my greatest gifts that I can receive here on earth. To know that I was able to play a little part in their faith. That is such a gift to know that you're able to do that. And I might tell you guys that today, right now, this is the marketplace, and God has shown up, and He is the landowner, and He is telling you, hey, I got a job for you. I have one for you. All you have to do is go to work. And you're going to receive full payment. Receive full payment. So we'll work for money. We'll show up at our job at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 4 a.m., whatever time it is that we have to be there so that we can earn our paychecks, so that we can support our family. Also, so maybe we can even use some of that money to glorify God by supporting different ministries and different people when in their times of need and things like that. And we'll definitely work for that money. But what are we willing to work for that gives us eternal life? What are we willing to do for God that might be able to plant a seed, to share a kind word with someone about who Jesus is? Are we willing to do that type of work? That's tough. That's tough. So what I pray for this day is that we can all still go to our jobs, because that's important. But while we're there, to realize how awesome God is by giving us that job. And then by also giving us a ministry. By also giving us the blessing of His Son Jesus that we get to share with others. And to not forget that yes, there is a place we have to show up so that we can support our families. But every single day, the place is before us. His vineyard is before us. The grapes are ready to be